Good morning, students. Welcome to English class. Dear students, what do you see here? It's the picture of a slum. At the top right corner and at the left bottom corner, you can see an elementary classroom in that slum. As the pictures depict, today we deal with Poem 2 from the textbook Flamingo, an elementary school classroom in a slum, written by Stephen Spenter. Now, let's get acquainted with the poet. Stephen Spenter, who lived from 1909 to 1995, was an English poet, novelist, and essayist whose work concentrated on themes of social injustice and class struggle. He was appointed Poet Laureate Consultant in Poetry to the United States Library of Congress in 1965. Spenter is proclaimed as a socialist and a pacifist. Books by Spenter include Poems of Dedication, The Edge of Being, The Creative Element, The Struggle of the Modern, and an autobiography, World Within World. The theme of the poem. In this poem, Spenter concentrates on theme of social injustice and class inequalities. The poet is writing about an elementary classroom in a slum. The poor, emaciated slum children are like captives in the world of darkness, poverty, and helplessness. The poet also expresses his outrage at the insensitive attitude of the rich and privileged people towards the unfortunate children of the slum school. But he is not pessimistic. He qualifies it saying that all the learned people of the society can spell hope for the future. Paraphrase of the poem. Let's deal with the first two lines. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. Here the poet describes the children who study in an elementary school which is set up in a slum area. Through these lines, the poet presents a very pathetic picture. He says that the faces of children are dull and without any energy. They lack activeness like other kids of their age. The slum children are far away from the fast, bright, and hopeful life of the rich world outside. These children have no hope on their faces. Now, students, look at the first line. Gusty waves refers to blowing strongly, the wind that is blowing strongly. Here, the poet means the activeness that is usually found in normal children, but in the slum children, we can't find that. Like rootless weeds, their hair torn round their pallor. In this line, these children are compared to unwanted weeds, and it implies that they are unwanted and lack stability. Here, the writer wants to say that these children seem to be unwanted, like the unwanted weeds which are growing on their own in the fields. Their hair is not neatly done. It falls on their pale faces as if they have been torn apart. The children are untidy. They haven't combed their hair. Look at the meanings given here. Rootless means uprooted. So these children are compared to uprooted, unwanted plants. Weeds, useless wild plants. Torn round means scattered around in disorder. So these children haven't kept their hair in a proper manner and it has got scattered around their face. Pallor means dull face. The tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper-seeming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bonds reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. Here, Stephen Spenter describes the miserable condition of the children in the classroom. Let's look at the meanings first. Weighed down means bent down due to depression and burden of poverty. Paper seeming boy, very thin boy as thin as a sheet of paper. Stunted, not fully grown due to malnutrition. Heir means a successor, and gnarled refers to knotted or rough. Now let's see these lines in detail. The tall girl with her weighed down head. So we come across a tall girl who has got her head bowed down as though she is exhausted physically because of malnutrition and emotionally because of poverty. The other students of the class are also in the same situation. The paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. There is a boy who is as thin as a paper and he has eyes like that of a rat searching for food and betterment. The stunted unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease his lesson from his desk. Another child in the class who is a victim of genetic disorder has gnarled bones and stunted growth. He has inherited the disease from his father and recites his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unknotted sweet and young. His eyes live in a dream or squirrel's game in tree room other than this. In one corner of the poorly lit and ill-equipped class sits a sweet young boy. He is unnoticed. The dull and monotonous environment of the classroom does not interest him. He is lost in the world of his dreams, which seem to be alive in his eyes. He dreams of squirrel playing games in the hollow of the tree. He dreams of outdoor games outside his dull classroom in the dirty slum. His dreams are of the places other than his repulsive classroom. Stanza 2. On sour cream walls donations. Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn. Civilized dome riding all cities. Belt, flowery, Tyrolese valley. Open-handed map, awarding the world its world. Now look at the words and meanings. Sour means unpleasant. Here it refers to the color of sour cream or of white or creamish. Donations, things given or received in charity. Dawn, early morning or sunrise. Civilized dome, institutions of the civilized world. Tyrolese Valley is a beautiful ice-free valley in Austria. In the second stanza, the poet describes the dirty and unpleasant classroom. The gifts given as donations and the picture of Shakespeare are hung on the unpleasant creamy walls, but they are useless for the children. The other things are also hung on the classroom walls, like the picture of a clear sky at dawn and a beautiful Tyrolese valley. The valley indicates the beauty and hope with its bells and flowers. Along with that, we can also find a dome of an ancient city building standing for civilization and progress. The rich people pretend to be generous by donating these things to the children. They feel that they have gifted them the beautiful world through these donations. There is a map stuck on the wall, and the map of this world is made and reshaped by the people in power. And yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, where all their futures painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes and stars of words. Here, the poet describes that the rich people who have drawn these maps have depicted these places that are unreachable for these children. For these children, their limited world is what they can see through the windows of the classroom. Their future is foggy, bleak, and dull. Their life or their world is confined within the narrow streets of the slum, enclosed by the bluish grey sky. The bluish grey sky refers to the polluted place where they are staying in. The world is far from rivers, seas that indicate adventure and beautiful worlds. They are also far away from stars, which symbolizes wisdom that can empower their future. So, dear children, hope the first two stanzas are clear to you. Please go through those lines again carefully. We will be discussing the remaining part of the poem in the next class. Thank you. Have a safe stay at home.